channel. So like my hair kind of had like a malfunction in the previous video. Basically I was just lazy to do my hair. That's why I had like water just dripping beside me, like just running down my arm. It was cold.
This is an intro to another series on this channel. It's the sexual health part. Yeah! Because no one is excited about this. I am. Why not? Why are you excited? Is it because I kept saying people are too active? I'm not complaining saying you're too active. I was just saying, like, take the necessary steps, okay? Take the necessary steps. Protect yourself. And your heart. Your heart. Don't catch feelings. Don't catch it.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about our private parts. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that could happen. Let's talk about sex.
Today's video is about consent. What is consent? What does consent mean to you? What does it mean for me? We all have like different views on that, what it means. The first question in regards to this video, how do you give consent? How do you, yourself, you, whoever you're watching, you. I don't know if you're watching this video with someone else, which should be a bit awkward if you are. But then I mean, it could be a good thing if you are watching with someone else, if they like share the same mindset in terms of that they actually want to learn. But it still could be awkward anyway if you're watching with someone else. But how do you, basically, how do you give consent? How do you show someone that you're consenting to having sexual relations with them? How? I'm just going to pause for like 2 seconds or 3, and then I'm just going to let you think about that. Yeah, like let's do a bit of mannequin challenge here. Let's just talk about that. How do you give consent? There's like there's many different ways that people give consent. There's verbal, there's non-verbal. But majority of the communication actually is believed that like at least the majority of the, like a huge percentage of communication is non-verbal. But when it comes to this particular topic, it needs to be flipped the other way around. It needs to be more verbal than non-verbal, because there's too many things that have been coming up in the news. I mean, we all know about Bill Cosby and his sentencing, but besides that, I mean, I'm not disregarding the whole issue and everything. That's a topic on its own. That's a whole topic on its own.
But in terms of that, let's just backtrack to, how do you give consent to someone? How do you let someone know that you actually want to engage with them physically, sexually? You want them to insert their private parts into your private parts. Or if you are lesbian, let's say, you want the person you're with to insert their non-private parts, dildos basically, into your private parts. Or you want a scissor. I mean, like, do people still scissor?
I'm giving this question back to you. I'm not going to discuss how I give consent. I'm going to discuss about how, we're going to talk about how people should give their consent. How do you think about this, really? If you haven't thought about this before, I really think you should think about this. How do you give consent to someone to let them know that you actually do want to? Do you use mostly non-verbal or do you use verbal? Going off of that, on the verbal part, we need to stop having this whole thing. I've heard a few people actually say that, oh, when a girl's actually saying no, sometimes they actually mean yes. And I'm like, really? Do they actually mean yes? Like, since when do words mean the opposite? Like, we need to have a definitive. Yes means yes and no means no. There's no in between about it. There's no grey area between it. If someone says yes, it's a yes. If someone says no, it's a no. And that's that. But then some people tend to not use those words as they are. They tend to not say yes and they tend to not say no. Some people have certain words that they choose to use, and some of these words are just here. These are some of the words that some people might use when they're meaning yes. And these are some of the words that people use when they mean no. But with that also, body language plays a big part in this, because as I said before, the majority of communication is non-verbal. We need to be able to read people's body language. I mean, if you are going to be engaging with someone physically, sexually, you still need to be able to read the body language. I mean, how are you gonna know if you're doing the right thing if you're not reading the body language? And how do you actually know if the person is enjoying what they're doing? Like, if the person is actually enjoying what you're doing if you're not reading the body language. That's the other thing as well. But then with that as well, how exactly does one know how to read someone's body language? Because you have some people that, okay, let's say an example. Let's say you're with someone.
You've been in a relationship for a while, okay? Let's assume 2 years. And maybe that person, your girlfriend or boyfriend, is in a mood today, and then you know that sometimes it's like certain things I usually do, and then that gets them in the mood, right? This time you try it, and it doesn't work. What does that then mean for you then? Do you keep persisting, or you leave it as it is, or do you then try and find out what actually is going on with that person? Because there might be something else that's going on. It might be a case that actually just want you to just listen to them, instead of persisting on saying that you are maybe potentially sexually frustrated and you just want to have sex.
Something to think about. Like a little bit, just a little something to think about in terms of that. Go on to dating. The funny part about this, I haven't dated in like 3 years. This is not an advert, okay? I know this is not Tinder. I'm not advertising myself to say that I want to go on a date with someone. Or am I? But anyway, in terms of dating, so I spoke to a few people before filming this video, right? And a few things that were brought up was, there was an episode in Backchat London. I forgot which one of the cast members actually said this, but I don't know if it was them who said it or if it was from, like, drawn from one of the questions that was submitted in, or like one of the topics they're talking about.
Wait, let me say something. Let me say something. Yeah, if you think you can really establish if someone's being real or not about that, a guy, yeah, okay, for me, for example, I will take you out to a very nice restaurant, show you the best places ever, and guarantee that night we're having sex, whether you like it or not. Especially if I'm spending my money. I've been in that situation before.
If a guy takes a girl out on a date and they pay, they essentially expecting them to put out. Like, really? Like, so what, you're paying, the girl's basically repaying by having sex with you. But what if they don't want to then? Like, then what? If they don't actually want to have sex with you and they just actually wanted to get to know you and actually enjoyed your company, then what? Because it's like, let's give an example. Alright, let's flip this around, okay? There's a lot of double standards within all this. Let's flip this around.
I take a guy out, right? I call the guy out, like, okay, let's go for a date, this and the other. I'm okay with paying. I have no problem with that. I'm completely okay with paying. But you go out with someone, so I go out with a person, we're on a date, everything is going great, I pay for everything, right? Am I then expecting the guy to put out just because I paid for the date? Because, like, if roles are reversed, it seems that it's more acceptable for it to be expected for a girl to put out because the guy paid. But if I pay, then does that work the same way then? Like, can I then expect a guy to put out just because I paid?
It should be more natural than an expectation. It shouldn't be a case of that, oh, I'm going on a date with you and I'm expecting this and that to happen. I should tick all these boxes. If it doesn't happen that way, then it was the worst date ever. Like, really? Like, that's where we're bringing it down to? But then also, going off of that, let's say you've actually had the day. Okay, let's say you had the day, you finished the day. You're now being a gentleman, if you are. Some of you aren't. You're being a gentleman and you actually do decide that you want to take this person, you want to walk them home. Okay, you want to make sure that they get home safely. Okay, fair enough. Good on you. If you don't, okay. Or maybe you didn't even check up on someone or send them a thingy or book them an Uber, but that's a story for another day. We'll leave that for today. But yeah, you take the person, like, you walk them home and everything, and they invite you inside. It's all good, it's going great. But don't mistake them inviting you inside as consent to say they want to do anything more. They're just enjoying your company. Okay, they're enjoying your company. It's got nothing. Like, it's not even got to the point where they've actually said that they want to sleep with you. They've not said that yet. They're enjoying your company. They just want to extend the time of being within your energy. They just want to enjoy your company. It literally has nothing. Someone inviting you into their home does not mean that they're giving consent to saying that they want to have sex. Let's not get that wrong. Moving on from this, let's just backtrack a little bit to my previous video, uni advice. So, within the age bracket of 18 to 25, there's the common thing. Not great, but it's quite common, like binge drinking. Freshers or any like at university, it's very, very, very prevalent, very high that there's a lot of binge drinking that happens. And there might also be a case of that people are actually exposed to trying certain drugs. With that, when people are under the influence, certain things are enhanced. But the thing is, when you're under, like, when you're intoxicated, there's like different types. Like, let's say there's certain people that when they're drunk,
they're sleepy. Some people are hysterical laughs, like kiki to the kick. Some people are hysterical laughs. Some people get a bit more aggressive. Some people get very emotional, and some people just get more reclusive. The same thing can also happen with drugs.
With that, in regards to consent, the lines get very blurry. Okay, one, if you don't know your own your limits, how much you can drink. Okay, like most people don't. Not only within the age group, not only between 18 and 25. No, there are even some people that are a lot older. There's a lot of people that don't know their limits. This is also pertaining to people that also have alcohol and drug misuse problems, which obviously they need help for. But before we get to the part where people actually have an addiction, some people just binge drink and they actually don't know their limits, and some people use that as a coping mechanism. We'll do a video on coping mechanisms in terms of mental health, mental illness at some point in the future. But some people do it to the extent that they're obviously, like, when you're drunk, your perception of how the world is working and everything, it's altered. But the personality, the traits that come out, that are portrayed, if you're a bit more aggressive, it's not to say that the alcohol is making you aggressive. No. That personality trait already pre-exists within you. It's just a case of that now, because you have an additional chemical within that's running through your circulatory system. All of a sudden, people will be like, oh my god, who is this person? But because they've never seen that person before, they've never seen that side to you before, you might be a bit more aggressive. But with that, in regards to consent, it's usually best to avoid engaging in any sexual activity when you're intoxicated and you also don't know your limit. But if you're drinking to the point where you actually can't reason, you can't walk straight, you're slurring your speech, you drinking to the point where tomorrow when you wake up and people tell you things that happen and you don't remember it, it's just best to not engage in sexual activity at all. Because yeah, likely at that moment when you're pursuing someone, you might not remember that tomorrow. You're not fully there. In my opinion, right, I would actually say when someone is under the influence of alcohol, their mental capacity is actually reduced. Because there's so many things. How many times have, let's say, how many times has someone been drunk to the point where tomorrow they wake up, they're like, oh my god, what happened? And then they wake up, they go to the mirror and they're checking themselves. You have got a black eye, you've got a bruise here, bruise there. you cut yourself, and you're looking at yourself thinking, what happened? Like, when did this happen? You'll actually surprise yourself as to be like, when you were drunk, some people have a threshold of how much they can put up with someone is drunk. Because some people can have a roller coaster of emotions. They can be aggressive and then go to being like, they can start out hysterically laughing and all of a sudden they get aggressive, and then it goes on from that, and then they start being very emotional. All those, every single one of those states could happen to one single person at the time that they're drunk. So with that, I'll just say that it's just best to rethink. I'm not trying to say this and say that like this is the right thing, this is the wrong thing. I'm just saying this in regards to the fact that the people I spoke to, and due to how things are going in the cases that have been brought up and everything, it's better to just be safe than sorry, to be fair. It's just better off. This is just like a little bit extra to all, like, I would say to girls, mostly, because, like I said before, I can't speak for people that have male genitalia. I can't. In regards to when you go to certain parties, or whenever you go out, just don't, okay? Like, please, do not leave your drink unattended, okay? Just don't. Don't leave your drink unattended at all.
Just make sure, even your friends, okay, I'm not saying don't trust your friends, right? But you're better off, because your friend could be enjoying themselves, they might forget that they were looking after your drink, right? If you're going to the toilet, if you're going outside for a smoke, if you're going wherever to do whatever, take your drink with you and make sure that it's safe. Even in the toilet, I'm not even lying, I've done this before. I take my drinks in the toilets with me, or I just drink all my drink before I go to the toilet, just make sure that no one has access to my drink. I think my mom taught me is how you should always, I'm trying to look for something to show you, but in terms of like how you should hold your glass. Let's pretend, right, that this candle, right, it's a candle. Let's pretend this is a glass. One thing my mom taught me, always, without a doubt, hold your glass covering the top part.
Because there's high risk of people, I'm not saying everybody does this, I'm not saying everyone does this, but we don't know how people's minds work, and some people might just drop something in there. They might just drop something in there. And another thing, just to end off this video, if you're in a relationship with someone, you do need to ask for consent to have sex with them, to have coitus with them, as Sheldon would say. I know it's a huge shocker, but you still do need to ask them. But that's pretty much all I have for this